On the silent plains of Jezero Crater, beneath a thin orange sky, something once impossible took flight. A small, fragile machine, no larger than a shoebox, hovered above the red dust of Mars, spinning, trembling, alive. It wasn't a rover. It wasn't a satellite. It was Ingenuity, humanity's first helicopter on another planet. She wasn't supposed to last more than 30 days. She wasn't supposed to fly more than 5 times. And yet, for over 400 days, across 72 flights, she defied every expectation, every law of survival, and every whisper of doubt. From a handful of engineers' dream to a global symbol of courage, Ingenuity became something greater. Not just a machine, but proof that humanity could make something born on Earth dance in the air of another world. But even legends meet silence. And now, that silence stretches across the red horizon of Mars, where Ingenuity made her final stand. The idea began almost as a joke. Back on Earth, in NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, a small group of engineers wondered, could a helicopter even fly on Mars? The atmosphere there is thinner than the air 100,000 feet above Earth, just 1% of what we breathe. Blades would have almost nothing to push against. Motors would freeze. Batteries would die. Every law of physics said, no. But humanity has never been good at listening to no. The team began building, not a giant, high-tech aircraft, but something tiny and simple. They borrowed the kind of camera found in a smartphone. They used off-the-shelf batteries like those inside power drills. And they crafted blades longer than its entire body, ultralight carbon fiber wings that would spin faster than any helicopter on Earth. When they tested it in a vacuum chamber that simulated the Martian atmosphere, it barely lifted off. Sometimes it flipped over. Sometimes it just wobbled like a dying insect. But then, one day, it worked. It hovered. For 6 seconds. 6 seconds, that's all it took to change everything. From that fragile moment, a new dream was born, to carry flight beyond Earth. Ingenuity was then strapped to the belly of the Perseverance rover, a hitchhiker to another planet. When the rocket launched on July 30, 2020, she was folded like a sleeping bird beneath layers of protective casing. For 7 months, she drifted through the black silence of space, no sunlight, no sound, just a dream waiting to wake. Then came February 18, 2021. Perseverance roared through the Martian sky, its heat shield glowing like fire. 7 minutes of terror later, it touched down safely, and on its belly, Ingenuity had arrived. The next 46 days were spent unfolding her tiny legs, charging her solar panels, and praying that the Martian cold wouldn't kill her before she even tried to fly. Then came April 19, 2021. The day humanity's dream left the ground. At dawn, her twin blades spun faster and faster, 2,400 revolutions per minute. And for the first time in history, something human-built took flight on another world. She hovered for 39 seconds. Just 3 meters above the surface. But in that moment, she carried all of us, every engineer, every dreamer, every curious soul, into the skies of Mars. The impossible had happened. But this was just the beginning. NASA expected her to complete 5 flights before the cold nights froze her circuits. Yet Ingenuity refused to die. She flew 6 times. Then 10. Then 20. Each time farther, faster, bolder. She scouted ahead of Perseverance, mapping terrain, finding safe paths, spotting ancient riverbeds that no human eye had ever seen. On Earth, she became a symbol of resilience. 1 billion people watched her shadow stretch across alien soil. She became a voice for dreamers, proof that even small things can achieve greatness. But Mars doesn't forgive. As winter crept across Jezero Crater, dust storms grew thicker, darker. Solar panels began to choke under layers of red sand. Each night, the temperature dropped to -85 degrees Celsius. Ingenuity's batteries drained faster. Her circuits froze. Her heart slowed. Then, one night, she went silent. NASA called her again and again. Nothing. For days, for weeks, silence. It felt like a eulogy. They thought she was gone. But just as the team began to accept her loss, a faint signal blinked back across the void. She was alive. Ingenuity had survived the Martian night. That tiny burst of data brought tears to the eyes of engineers thousands of kilometers away. She had endured conditions that should have destroyed her. But that was Ingenuity's nature, fragile in body, unbreakable in spirit. Even when her inclinometer, the tiny device that helps her know her tilt and balance, broke, her team found a way to reprogram her to use her other sensors. She adapted. She learned. She kept flying. Her longest flight lasted almost 3 minutes. Her farthest flight stretched more than 700 meters. Each mission became more daring, exploring canyons, crossing dunes, surviving dust devils. She was the first of her kind, and she knew it. But every legend has a final flight. On Flight 72, she rose into the thin air, her blades spinning faster than ever. But Mars had changed. The light was dimmer. The air colder. As she moved forward, her shadow disappeared, her navigation system lost its reference point. In that blinding orange haze, Ingenuity lost her way. Her sensors flickered. Her altitude dropped. And then, silence. NASA's cameras later showed her shadow lying still on the Martian ground. One blade was bent. Another snapped. The little helicopter that had defied gravity for nearly 2 years had finally fallen still. Her mission was declared complete. Yet in that silence, she had already achieved immortality. Because Ingenuity was never just a helicopter. She was a message. A reminder that humanity doesn't stop at the edge of what's known. That curiosity, that sacred spark that drove the Wright brothers, that sent rockets to the moon, still burns in us. On one of Ingenuity's legs, engineers placed a small piece of fabric, taken from the Wright brothers' 1903 flyer. From the first flight on Earth, to the first flight on Mars. A single thread of history stretching across worlds. That piece of cloth now rests under the Martian sky, a silent testament to how far we've come. And somewhere, perhaps in the far future, when humans finally walk the red sands of Mars, they might find her there, her blades covered in dust, her shadow frozen in time. A tiny monument to the moment we grew wings on another world. Ingenuity's final flight wasn't a failure. It was a full circle. From the Wright brothers' sand dunes to the crimson deserts of Mars, we proved that flight, that dream of touching the sky, belongs not to one planet, but to the human spirit itself. The first flight on Earth lasted 12 seconds. The first flight on Mars lasted 39. Between those seconds lies everything we are. The centuries of curiosity, courage, and relentless pursuit of the impossible. Ingenuity may have fallen silent, but her story will echo through every future mission, every drone, every aircraft, every astronaut who dares to explore. Because she showed us one simple truth. When you give humanity a challenge as vast as the stars, we will always find a way to rise.